My story could definitely be a book at some point, but why now? And he looked me dead in the eyes and said, Rae, if you don't write your story now, when will you? There's always a turning point, the moment that tries to break you, but ends up launching your destiny. This is Miracle Moment. I'm Rae Ireland, and I'm here to help you rise into the mission God created you for. Let's jump in. Do you realize that you have a book or a podcast, or maybe both, inside of you? There are so many people that reserve podcasts and books and things like that, platforms for the elite, but that's not the case anymore. So I want to break down that myth and just share how everyday people are coming out with books, stories, shows, events, podcasts to share their stories and their testimonies and how they're making major impact in their worlds. So this all came to my realization when a book coach came up to me. This was about 8 years ago and said, I know your story and I think you should make it into a book. Now, I agreed. I thought, yeah, my story could definitely be a book at some point, but why now? Shouldn't I wait till I'm much older and all these other things have happened? And he looked me dead in the eyes and said, Rae, if you don't write your story now, when will you? And I just really realized, okay, let's go for it. Let's wing it. And so I went to this book writing retreat, and one of the most profound breakthroughs happened when I got to see and meet the other authors in the room. Now, I didn't really know what to expect. I wasn't sure who else would be there with me, but I think I had this belief or this idea that they would all be this certain way and show up so perfect. And what happened in those 3 days together is everyone got real and raw. And I got to see how the people sitting next to me were just moms and dads and wives and husbands, and they had certain careers and certain experiences in their life. And that was that. They had a story that they had on their heart that they wanted to tell. It wasn't that they were famous. They weren't celebrities. They just knew that they had a story to tell that would impact just one person. Now, I love the phrase hope. Help one person every day. And really, imagine a world where we all took that responsibility and said, okay, who's the one person I'm going to help today? Like, imagine the world and what would be possible there. So I loved being in this room filled with authors who all deeply believed in that mission. And they believed that if they just shared their story, it would impact at least one person, if not many, many more. And so we went around the room and everyone shared their story. And yes, they were unique. And yes, they were amazing. But they also weren't like, oh my goodness, this is the craziest story I've ever heard, right? Of course, some authors do have that, but sometimes it's in the nuance. It's in the way that they would see their story. It's in the way that they would talk about their story that would have all of us sort of lean in and say, I would read that book. And so that was the gift that I got to receive there, was not only freedom for myself to unlock and take off any barriers that were holding me back from writing my own book, but I actually got to witness what it's like for many authors all around the world who have a story, have a mission that they want to share, and they want to write a book. That one experience translated and transitioned into my work with podcasts with my husband, Sammy. In Evolve Podcasting, we've now launched hundreds of shows, and I'm now able to see someone when they really have a message and a mission on their hearts. I can say to them straight in the face, looking them dead in the eyes, you have got to do this because there's one person that you'll be able to help every day if you are to make this podcast. Now, I wouldn't have had the confidence and integrity and deep conviction that everyone can and should share their story that I now have today if I didn't have that experience many, many years ago. If you're loving this conversation and it's sparking something inside of you, maybe it's time to share your own voice with the world. That's exactly why we created the Podcast Accelerator, to help leaders like you go from hidden to heard with a podcast that connects, inspires, and actually grows your business. We launched together in just a few months, and you'll have the system, support, and strategy to keep scaling and growing. Doors are open now, so the link to apply is in the show notes. We cannot wait to see you in there. I want to share this with you to maybe open up a little bit of the behind the scenes doors, right? I've been a part of many masterminds, many groups, many entrepreneurial experiences, writing groups, podcast groups, all this stuff. And I think it's just important because sometimes if you're looking into this world from the outside, you might be saying, well, how do I get in? And I must hit a certain level of success before I can kind of join that type of club, right? And so I just wanted to reveal and open the doors to show you what it's actually like inside. It's actually just real people having real stories and sharing real time what's going on. So I just think that if you're carrying the weight of a desire of wanting to share your story on a certain platform, do not just hold that weight, because it actually will get heavier and heavier. And what I've seen is people that don't take action then create a pattern of inaction, and they decide that they will never do it because they never did it, if that makes sense. They decide and declare on the future based upon the past. This is one of the worst things we can do. So if today you're feeling like I am speaking to you and you listen to this podcast to hear this message, then I want you to take some action today so you can start to prove to yourself that you are an action taker and that you are going to step into the uncomfortability of doing something new and sharing your story. So the things that you can start to reflect on to give yourself a little bit of an ego boost if you need it around telling your story and maybe not being a part of the quote unquote elite is to look at your story and just ask yourself, what value does this bring? So list some key experiences from your life and insights that define your journey. And why are they valuable to you? Why is this something near and dear to your heart? And is there a value that a reader would have if they were to come into this story and hear it as well? And when you do that, you're going to start to overcome any self-doubt barriers. And let's just name it as it is. Most entrepreneurs deal with doubt, disappointment, and distraction every single day. So are you going to be a dreamer entrepreneur who's just dreaming about it, but allowing doubt, disappointment, or distraction to get in your way every single day? Or are you going to be an action taker entrepreneur? If you're already listening to this episode, I already know who you are. You're number 2. So when you get into this action, you're going to start to overcome those barriers of self-doubt. And you're going to start to recognize where these limiting beliefs have been holding you back. And you can start to actively challenge them, break through them with positive affirmations and really just this self-reflection and taking action. As you do this, you can start small. You don't have to write the entire book and release it all at once, right? Start small with baby steps and build up that momentum. Begin to just share your story in safe, supportive environments and containers, and you'll build up that confidence. And as you do, you'll start to embrace more and more of your vulnerability and authenticity. And that's when you get to prioritize how to be genuine over perfect in your storytelling, and people are going to actually start to connect with you deeply. This is where the momentum gets really fun, and you might even get into regular storytelling where you're regularly reflecting, adapting, speaking, maybe even asking for feedback from those who you're talking to help you refine that message in your story so that way it can make more impact. So I just wanted to paint a little bit of the journey that I know you're about to be going on as a storyteller, as a bold proclaimer of the good news that you have to share with others. So that's what I'm going to ask of you guys today. Reach out to one potential person. It can be a listener, a collaborator, someone in your audience, a friend or family member, and begin creating moments in time where you can share more and more of your story. Then as we start to really open up this idea and get you into action around storytelling, just like many of the guests that we have on this show, then what we're going to talk about next is going to be really unraveling the secrets to creating purposeful content that not only will resonate, but will also convert. Because if you're on the entrepreneurial journey, you can talk a lot, but are people really getting it and taking action with you and going beyond from there? So that's what we're going to break down in the next episode. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for listening to Miracle Moment. Share the episode, hit follow, and join us every Thursday for prayer and activation. For more tools to rise into your God-given mission, visit RaeIreland.com. See you next week.